same energy. Work on being better when I'm 70. Your drip is just a water spring. You know I drip different, just the 7 C's.
Good morning, babies. Good morning. Welcome to Motivate My Mornings with your favorite coach, Sherri Hill. It's hump day, hump day. How are you guys doing so far through this midweek? How's everything going? How balanced are you? How are you feeling? So this morning, you guys, I wanted to come and I wanted to talk to you about something. I actually came with a whole nother agenda. And then as I was getting dressed, another subject came to me and kind of touched me. So I said, you know what, this is the perfect subject for me to talk about today with you guys. It is kind of in the tabloids right now. I'm sure that all of you guys heard about what happened at the Oscars with Will and Jada and Chris Rock. And trust me, I ain't here to talk about their business and what happened and, what's going on with that. None of that is my business. So I'm not here to discuss any of that this morning. I'm actually here to talk about, again, behind the eyes of a broken heart. Okay, today we're going to talk about something important, and it's called breakup and relationship heartbreak. Okay, we're going to talk about relationship heartbreak today. Okay, so, as a lot of people have been giving their opinion on what's going on with this, and a lot of people, have been trying to draw attention to their networks. I'm not even going to put nothing about Will and Jada in the title of this message because it has nothing to do with them. This isn't about Will and Jada. This is about, again, our emotional state of being and where we are as a society and where we are emotionally. Okay, so, again, lots of debate about, what happened. Was it right? Was it wrong? But I want to get past the slap. I want to get past Jada having alopecia and Chris Rock being insensitive to that, something that a lot of women suffer from, and that was a very insensitive move. I want to get past all of that, okay? I want to get down to the root of our emotional state of mind and our emotional being. And what we witnessed yesterday with Will was an emotional breakdown. Okay, that was an emotional breakdown. Here's a man who has shined his beautiful light on society for many, many years, never been violent, never got into, any of the thug stuff. He's just always been a pillar to society, always. And yet, last night he acted completely out of character, completely out of integrity, and he made a move that, even though I understand, I don't agree with, because I don't think that violence is something that we should ever resort to, no matter what happens. And I also feel like, speaking from a black person's perspective, is that if we're going to continue to holler about Black Lives Matter and, this, that, and the third, we can't continue to perpetrate against ourselves and let it be okay. Meanwhile, if we get the same crime done to us by someone of a different race, then it becomes an act of racism. And Black Lives Matter, y'all, they got to matter at all times, whether it's us operating with the other person or it's another race. We all got to say that Black Lives Matter, okay? And again, I just feel like as Black society, we got to learn how to solve problems without going to violence, okay? So, but let's get past the slap. Let's get past, Jada's feelings being hurt and what we think happened and how we think this whole thing popped off. Let's get down to the root of this problem. Let's talk about something for a second. And again, I want to apologize because I'm not trying to look into Will's life and read into what's going on with his business or anything like that. But as a therapist, this is blatantly obvious to me what's happening here. And we recently just witnessed a whole breakdown with Will and Jada when it came to the entanglement. Okay, we all heard about that, and we witnessed a visible disappointment and massive pain body being disturbed by Will during the confession that Jada gave on the Red Table Talk. He was visibly disturbed and visibly hurt by the whole situation. And so we're going to talk this morning about dealing with our pain bodies inside of relationships. Dealing with our pain bodies inside of relationships. Okay, behind the eyes of a broken heart. Okay, so emotional breakdowns. You know, one of the things that Will talked about was the pressure that's put on a person that's in the limelight. You know, the pressure of having to deal with people talking about you all the time, people backstabbing you, people using you. It's just a lot that goes along with that. And I personally understand that, because even though I'm not at Will Smith's level, I'm still in the public eye, and I totally understand what it feels like to be badgered and to be slandered and to be talked about and to be lied on and all of this stuff. I know what that feels like, and it isn't a good feeling. But I also know that when to whom much is given, much is required. Okay, we have to have a thicker skin than everybody else. And sure, we have breakdowns just like everybody else. But the major breakdown last night didn't come from him being insulted by what this man said about his wife. The breakdown came from yet another public humiliation, yet another chance to make Will look weak in public. And that's what happened. And that's where we saw the emotional response to what Chris Rock did last night. And so to me, I think we need to look deeper and say, hey, forget about the slap, forget about this, forget about that. Let's take a look at what's happening with Will's mental state of mind. There's a lot going on there. There's a whole lot that he has to deal with outside of being a celebrity. He's a father to troubled children. He's a husband. He's a star. He's a whole bunch of things that he has to deal with. But at the end of the day, he's just Will Smith. He's just little Will Smith that grew up somebody's little boy, just like you and I grew up as somebody's little boy and somebody's little girl. He is just a human being living this human experience with a whole lot more responsibility than the average person. So just getting past all of that, I just wanted to put that disclaimer out there, because I don't want to appear to be judging or giving my opinion on what's going on in his life or his marriage or any of that, because it's none of my business. But this is yet another public display of how we as a society need to start paying attention to our mental health. It is our mental pain bodies are crying out for help. It is the elephant in the room that we can no longer ignore. Okay, it is the elephant in the room that we can no longer ignore. All of these pain that's being experienced behind the eyes of a broken heart is ruining our society. It's ruining our society. So this morning, again, every morning when I come here and encourage us and we have these talks, it's for all of us to see how we can be better, what we can do different, how we can be a better example to society, how we can be a better example to our families, to our friends. Okay, so oftentimes in childhood, as we've been talking about, where the pain begins, we talked about how it begins in childhood somewhere. Somewhere we get into codependent ways. We get into not feeling worthy, not feeling loved. And again, it could be for a variety of reasons. Stick your story into this wherever it belongs. But when we get into relationships with unresolved emotional trauma, we are only bringing that into this relationship for it to be personified into even a bigger problem, so that you can again have the opportunity to fix it and work on it. So we get into relationships, and I just want to give some examples because y'all know I love that. But we get into relationships, and we get into them oftentimes for the wrong reasons. Okay, oftentimes, especially in America, the reason why we have such a high divorce rate is because we get into relationships for the wrong reasons. Okay, we're looking for our parents inside of our relationships. So whatever pain bodies our parents left us with, we have a tendency to go into relationships seeking that same pain body so we can have that pain body repaired, so we can see if we can fix it or if we can change the outcome. And that never works, because until we deal with it internally and deal with it by ourselves, successfully, then we will continue to drag these baggages into our relationships. So you go into relationships and you have attachment issues. You have fears of being abandoned. You have fears of being left alone. And again, this comes from maybe having been abandoned or maybe having been alone as a child. You go into relationships and you become very codependent and very toxic to your partner because now you're clingy and you're needy and you have basically placed the needs of your life into the lap of this other person, expecting for them to solve all of your problems and make you happy. And I got a news flash for you. No one can make you happy. No one can make you anything. All of those things are up to us. How we feel, how we look, how we operate, how we walk, how we talk. These are decisions that we make. Even though they may be based on someone else's needs and desires, we are still making a conscious decision to walk like somebody else wants us to walk or to walk the way we want to walk. But it is a conscious decision that we make every day. So we go into these relationships with these attachment or abandonment fears, and now we are going into setting ourselves up into relationships where you may be dependent on someone for money. You may be dependent on someone to make you feel loved. A lot of times we do that as women. We have babies and we get married expecting to feel that ultimate love that really we're seeking from ourselves, that we need to learn to give ourselves. Okay, so when you do this thing, it's like we have to learn how to look inside ourselves to figure out where the missing pieces are. Okay, so getting into relationships with unresolved emotional trauma is going to lead to a disaster. Okay, and I hate to say this, but when we start to see these types of things build momentum, okay, you start to see these public humiliations that these stars go through, and eventually they hit the brick wall and it's a tower moment. And we see them fall apart. We see their lives fall apart publicly. And sometimes it doesn't end well for a lot of them. It doesn't end well for a lot of them. Okay, we're missing a lot of beautiful stars because they had unresolved emotional trauma that none of us ever dealt with, that we hindered them with. As their friends, we fed them their addictions. We fed them the lies. We fed them whatever that we thought that they needed just because we were in our own selfish ways and wanted to maintain our place in their life, rather than being a true friend and looking at our friend and saying, hey, friend, you're fading. You know what I'm saying? You're fading here. You're not the person you used to be. We need to get you together. So going into relationships with anger, all of these types of things, these are the types of things that we bring into relationships, whether we are aware of it or not. We do drag these things into new relationships with us. Perhaps, like, for instance, I'll give you an example. I always got examples for y'all, and y'all know it. But a man that's abusive, that's physically abusive to his wife, guarantee you, 9 times out of 10, that man also watched his mother be abused by either his father or some significant other of his mother's. Okay, so now he's learned this behavior and he thinks that it is a display of love, because one of the things that women who've been battered can always tell you is that after the beating comes this loving, compassionate apology. And that is because in their eyes, that is the way you exude love to someone. So again, when we go into relationships with unresolved emotional trauma, we drag those in, and we then start to project our issues onto other people. Okay, now we start to become a projection of toxicity. Okay, so it's just so many issues that I could go into, so many things that happen to us in early childhood that we hold on to and we drag into every area of our life, just intoxicating, fumigating our life and not even aware of it. Okay, you are the elephant in the room that needs the attention. You are the elephant in the room that needs the attention. So I just want y'all to take a look at, not the slap, not at what happened or what was said or what wasn't said, but let's go to dig into the roots and let's talk about what's really going on. There's some emotional trauma that has not been resolved, that is hiccuping, like a hiccup, is hiccuping in our lives right now, y'all. Not just Will's, all of our lives, because all of us have taken on the victim role and we've not taken responsibility for things that's going on in our life, I guarantee you that Will is somewhere right now hurting, not because of just what happened last night, but the bigger picture, all the things that he's feeling like he's losing control of. Are you that person that's losing control? Are you still in a relationship because you're codependent and afraid and have fears of being abandoned or fears of being alone? So you hold on to things that you know no longer serve you because of the fear you have of what would happen if you didn't have this other person to depend on. Are you in a domestic violence situation where you're being physically abused, but you're staying because you have a fear of what it feels like to be alone, what it would be like to be a single mom, what it would be like to not have all the money you have right now? Have you allowed your spouse to tear you down and talk nasty to you and disrespect you? Are you allowing someone to cheat on you and put you in third parties and come to you with these requests to be in open relationships so that they can openly cheat on you and disrespect you? Are you allowing somebody to take away your fire so that you're not working in the jobs that you want to work or pursuing the dreams that you want to pursue because you live in somebody else's dream, you're living in somebody else's shadows? Are you allowing a toxic relationship to keep you from a beautiful relationship? Are you allowing toxic people to keep you from your dreams because you're in this thing called a relationship? And relationships don't have to be romantic. Relationships could be relationships with friends. Are you in a friendship where you're being drained? You don't get equal give and take. There's no reciprocation. You're always giving, they're always taking. But you stay because you feel this person has something to bring to the table that you don't. You've put more value in this person than you put in yourself. You've put more respect on this person's name than you have on your own. Are you in a family relationship where you allow your family members to dog you out, treat you like the black sheep of the family, talk to you like you're nothing? Do you allow that in your life? Because you are afraid to be alone, because you are afraid of abandonment, you are afraid of other people's opinions, you are afraid of the outcomes. Don't be afraid to live your life. Don't let your fears hiccup in your life and become that erupting volcano that will explode. That slap might cost Will $1 million. Don't let your fears cost you. Don't let your fears write a check your ass can cash. Okay, don't let that happen, because we do that every single day. We let our fears create the very things that we are afraid of. We are so afraid of being left and being alone that we cause that very thing to happen by being too clingy, being too needy, griping and complaining and bitching all the time. Cheating on the spouse, not being there mentally or physically, not being loyal, not being a good wife or a good husband. But we don't want to be left and we don't want to be alone, but we don't want to do the work. And the work is the inner work. It's not learning how to be a good wife or a good husband. Those things are different for everybody and they come naturally. If you love each other, you will fulfill each other's needs. The love that I need you to worry about and to fix is the love that you have for yourself. Because when you can come to the table whole, when you've come to the table and dug up the roots and got rid of your emotional trauma, and you're coming to the table a healed human being, someone who's cognizant and aware of their good, their bad, and their ugly, and they know how to be self-aware so that they don't cause trouble or toxicity in their life by dragging in the broken pieces. Okay, this is where we are. So I know, again, everybody's talking about, oh, this is because we have a tendency in society to jump on any story and offer our opinion without having any facts at all. But without me having any facts or any knowledge of what's going on in Real's life with him, Jada, Chris, or anything else, what I can see from my certification of being a coach is that there's trauma there that needs to be resolved. There's some hurt feelings, there's some hurt going on there that needs to be resolved so that he can start living a happy life. Being Will Smith, the actor, the actress that's out there, making millions of dollars and being on the big screen, and his wife is famous, his kids, none of that means nothing to that person, to him right now. None of those things are healing his trauma. None of those things are giving him the hug and the love that he needs. None of those things are taking away the public humiliation that this man continues to be dealt. So this morning, I'm asking you to take a look. Every morning, we have to take a look around us and see where we're contributing to our own unhappiness by dragging unresolved emotional trauma into places where it is not needed. Okay? We don't need drama, period, ever. No matter the problem, the answer is always love, no matter the problem. So in trying to solve the problems in your life, don't start looking at the other person and trying to see what they need to do. Well, he needs to start doing this, and he needs to start leaving the toilet seat down, and he needs to start being more supportive of my career. He needs to start telling me I'm beautiful. He needs to start making love to me and care about my side of things. When are you going to start taking care of your career? When are you going to put your career first and stop letting anybody put your dreams and desires on the back burner? When are you going to start feeling beautiful so that whether somebody tells you that or not, you know you're beautiful, okay? When are you going to start being that independent person that you know you can be so that you don't feel like someone else's shadow? That's the questions we have to ask ourselves. Are we in toxic relationships? We are allowing someone else's needs keep us stuck, and we can't grow because now we feel obligated to somebody because we may have made a promise to them. Promises are made to be broken. Things change every day. When things aren't working for you anymore, you have to know when to cut them off. Regardless to how long y'all been married, regardless to how much more time the kids got to graduate. Because if any of y'all think that staying in toxic relationships and toxic marriages are doing your kids any good, you need to seriously think again. You need to seriously think again, because when your kids have to grow up watching mama get beat up and watching all this bad stuff happen and watching daddy yell at mama and tear her down and take away her woman power, you are molding a tiny person to grow up and be just like mama and daddy, either an abuser or a victim. Either one of them ain't good. Either one of them ain't good. So the question today is, what were you fed? What trauma is deeply rooted in you that you keep dragging into all of your relationships? And relationships, again, are not just romantic. You are in a relationship with the people on your job. You are in a relationship with the people at church. You are in a relationship with your neighbors. You are in a relationship with the people who live in your town. You are in a relationship with your family members, your friends. So you need to look around your relationships and see how things are going. Are you happy with the relationships that you have? Are your romantic relationships fulfilling? Do you feel the desires that you choose to feel? Are you happy with your spouse when y'all are apart? Do you think about this person and can't wait to get to them because they light up your day? Is this somebody that you want to love and be able to change their depends for them when they become old and can't take care of themselves? Can you imagine wiping the snot and the boogers from their nose because you love them so much? Some of y'all living with people that the very thought of them breathing every day gets on your nerves. The constant in and out just drives you crazy. But yet you stay because you are too afraid to be on your own. You are too afraid to speak up for yourself. You are too afraid to tell the family that this marriage ain't what it looks like from the outside looking in. This ain't what y'all think it is. I'm unhappy up in here. Be able to speak up for your own needs. You be the change that you're seeking. Stop looking for other people to change so that you can be happy. If you want to be happy, you have to make changes. You have to put you first. You have to be willing to make yourself a priority. Make your goals and your dreams a priority. Make putting respect on your name a priority. Y'all know I love to bring these messages every morning. And this one this morning I thought was really, really important, because we drag our emotional trauma into situations. We get into trauma bonds with other toxic people, and we just create toxic children and toxic messes all over the place. And no one's doing anything about it. All we do is we sit back and we talk about, oh, y'all see how Kanye's going crazy. Kanye's been going crazy since his mama died, and we keep sweeping all of his shit under the carpet until it explodes in America's face, and he either does something dangerous to himself or somebody else. Because we don't like to address the trauma. We don't like to talk about what's really going on. We got a freaking excuse for everything, and the only excuse is somebody ain't loving on themselves properly. Somebody ain't dealing with their underlying shit. And that somebody is you. That somebody is me. That somebody is all of us as a society. We are bumping heads, falling out with each other. We can't even drive down the street and drive down the street and share the roads with each other. Folks is shooting at each other on the damn highway because you cut me off. You got in front of me. So now I'm going to take your life because you got in front of me. Sure, I'm going to get to wherever I was going at the same time, but I don't appreciate you cutting me off. And the real problem is, it ain't about you cutting me off. It's about the fact that I got cut off when I was a little boy and nobody let me talk. People used to cut in front of me and make me feel bullied and less than. So now as an adult, when people cut me off, it triggers me and it makes me want to kill you. Okay, we can't do nothing no more. We walking into churches blowing people away. We walking into concerts blowing people away. We at the Little League baseball games. Guns are allowed at a Little League baseball game now. Violence is all we know because we're acting out. We're reacting instead of responding. We just react. We get triggered and we fight. We get triggered or we fight. It's one of the two. And it's like, why won't we stop and say, hey, this ain't normal what I'm doing. Me getting out of my car and going slapping the woman in front of me in traffic because she gave me the bird. That's saying I got some trauma I need to deal with, because no matter what nobody else does, it should never trigger me enough for me to put myself in harm's way. But yet we're doing it every day and we're sweeping it under the carpet, acting like all of this shit is normal. And it is not. So today I'm saying let's take a look at our traumas and our triggers. Let's take responsibility. Okay? Let's be that. Let's take care of the man in the mirror, because when you can live your life by an example, then other people around you, the people who you lead, your children, your husband, your wife, your family members, your church members, your neighbors, those people will start to see you doing the right thing, and it may encourage them to do the right thing. But as long as all of us got an excuse for carrying a Glock and acting like Madea in public and whooping on people's asses and cussing people out, and that's all we're going to get is more and more of that until we are literally living. What is that movie where they go and they get to shoot people and kill people and clean up the environment? What is that movie called? Y'all know what I'm talking about. Okay, we'll literally be living that movie where we all out in the streets and it's, every man for himself. Every man for himself. You can't you got women here in Atlanta, we go to the grocery store, we getting raped and robbed. People going in the parks getting raped and robbed. You can't do nothing no more because no one's dealing with no one's emotional trauma. It used to be a time where when homeless people were mentally disturbed, they weren't on the streets living homelessly. There was mental institutions and places for these type of people to go. Nowadays, we just got those people living under the freeways and on the side of the roads and at the grocery stores and the gas stations. Because we don't like to deal with stuff in America. We don't like to deal with problems. We like to sweep them under the carpet and keep on living this American dream, acting like all this stuff that's going on around us isn't happening. You can keep ignoring the warning signs if you want to, but you can trust and believe that volcano is going to erupt eventually. And depending on how long your volcano's been brewing, it will determine how bad that eruption really is. So if you've been suppressing this stuff for years and years and years, my favorite saying, check yourself before you wreck yourself. Okay, because you are about to hit a brick wall. You are about to hit that tower moment. It is coming because you have not dealt with the things you need to deal with. You keep acting like, oh, I don't, that's so what, that happened to me. I was a kid then. That don't matter now. Well, if it don't matter, let go. We say it don't matter, but yet we keep on reacting and being triggered by the things that happen to us. So if it don't matter, why is it still a problem in our life? Why is it still showing up in our life? Man, I tell you, this is that time, y'all. This is that time in society. This is why I started this series, Behind the Eyes of a Broken Heart, because it is important that we start looking at the things that broke us so we can fix the broken pieces, so we can all become whole again. Because if we don't become whole, this whole entire thing is going to fall apart and become an entire broken piece, okay? We are slowly self-destructing. And no one cares. All we care about is getting to the bag, getting to the next girl, the next guy to have sex with, getting to the next sale on Amazon, getting to the next Gucci bag, the next Louis Vuitton bag, the next Mercedes, the next mansion. Baby, don't none of that stuff matter if you are packing up all your emotional trauma and putting it in every one of these vehicles or cars or houses or whatever it is that you think you need. Your trauma is in that Louis Vuitton. Your trauma is in that Gucci. Your trauma is in that Mercedes. That your trauma is in that big house that you wanted. Because if you went into that house and you ain't worried about that volcano that's about to erupt, that big house is not going to stop that eruption. That Mercedes is not going to stop that eruption. The Gucci or the Louis Vuitton is not going to stop that eruption. The only thing that can stop that eruption is you paying attention and going in there and tending to the eruption. Getting to the roots of the problem and erasing where and how it started to begin with. So this is my message to us today, is that we have to start paying attention to the emotional trauma, getting to the roots of the problem and fixing it. So today is another way for you to take a look at how you might be self-sabotaging yourself, is look at your relationships. Do you have sisters who talk crazy to you? Do you have boyfriends that talk ignorant to you, call you B's and all out of your name and talk under your clothes rather than treat you like the queen that you deserve to be treated? But if you don't step up on your throne and put on your crown, no one's going to know who you are and you will not be treated as such. So you cannot be mad and say I'm a queen, but he's treating me like a pauper if you are allowing him to do that. If you are allowing him to call you out your name, you're allowing him to put you down and disrespect you. That is your fault. That is not that person's fault. You are putting up with it. You are putting up with it. Are you in relationships with friends who don't give you equal give and take? They get on your nerves every time they got a problem. They on your phone and they want to talk about their problems. And as soon as the conversation switches to you, you got about 2 minutes before it goes right back to them. It's never about you. It's always about them, their problems, their needs, their desires, their birthdays, their holidays, their special occasions, but never about you. Are you putting up with that? Okay, again, are you in that relationship that's holding you back from your dreams, from your desires? Because you feel like you need this woman or man for whatever reason. You are codependent and you need to check yourself. Because even when you in a relationship, you need to maintain your independence or you will be left in the cold, because the moment that you start putting all your eggs in somebody else's basket, I guarantee they're going to walk right off with your stuff. All right, so this is your Tease Coach. You know I love coming here and giving y'all these beautiful messages and these tips on how we can get ourselves together, because everybody wants to chase the bag. Everybody wants the money. My thing is get that mind right first, because if you're in the wrong mindset, all the beautiful opportunities in the world can come to you. But if your mind is not right, if your faith ain't in the right place, if your Savior is not God, you will not make it. You will not make it. So I know you guys are going to make it, though. I know you guys are. Why? Because y'all are my favorite aunties and nephews. That's why. Okay, y'all know it's Sherri Hill, your favorite tease coach. I'm here every Monday through Friday at 9 a.m. or earlier with your Motivate My Morning message. I always try to bring you guys tools on how we as a society can start healing from the inside out so we can change our world, okay? It is up to us. We must all visualize ourselves in peace, love, and harmony in order to return this earth back to where it needs to be. It is up to us, guys. We can blame it on the government, on the ozone layers, and this, that, and the third. But at the end of the day, we make up the government. We are the ones destroying the ozone layers. So we are the ones that have to repair it. And that's why I bring you these morning messages every morning, so you can become cognizant of how you could be in your very own way. And I hope you're paying attention. Now, listen here. Don't forget, like, share, and subscribe. Let's help me get these messages out to more people who need to hear them. We have changed the platform, so we've lost a lot of people who are here for other reasons, and that is okay. That is fine, because it is not the swift that wins the race, but it is those who endureth, okay? So we're going to endure this race, guys, together. One broken heart at a time. We're going to repair ourselves and get back to being whole again. I thank you for being here with me every morning. I don't care if it ain't but 2 or 3 of y'all. Thank y'all for being here with me every morning. Thank you for waking up and having your first sip of coffee with me. Shout out to Chocolate Chicks for the Productions for this opportunity for me to take my platform to another level. Thank you for all the beautiful things that you guys are doing for me in the background. Thank you to my publicist, STS publicist, Dr. Jennifer Champagne. Thank you so much. All right, so thank you to my subscribers, and thank you to my followers and the people who come here every morning to share these messages with me. And again, if you haven't subscribed, please do. It'll help us to get these messages out to so many more people who need to hear it, okay? I thank you for being here. I want you to go out here today, examine your relationships and see where you maybe can improve. Make sure, like we always say, make sure in every relationship you're being celebrated and not tolerated. Your Tease Coach, Sherri Hill, here's wishing you the best hump day ever. See you right back here Thursday morning for Motivate My Morning with your favorite coach, Sherri Hill. Mwah.